Alrighty, so parsing homework. Mounce chapter 18. What do we want to look at here?
You can just start with the first one and work your way.
Yeah. This isn't too bad, is it?
Number 4.
Okay. It wasn't like what? It wasn't like riding a bike, huh? Alrighty. So looking at number 4, we have dunatai. Everybody say that with me. Dunatai? Dunatai. Okay. And what do you see here that's an identifiable personal ending? Yeah, we've got the tie ending there, right? What does that tell you for person and number? Third singular. Great. And for voice, you know that's got to be, well, it could be middle or passive, right? All right. Mood is always indicative now. And the only tense we know is present. Now, if you look at the top over here, it says tense and gender. Why is gender here? And yeah, in case he throws you a noun or an adjective, right? Because those are marked for gender. But if we're dealing with verbs, you are doing person and number, and then tense, voice, and mood. If you're dealing with nouns, you're going to give case, number, and gender, but not tense. Okay? So only indicate what's appropriate to the kind of word, the part of speech or word class it is. If it's a noun, do what's appropriate to that. If it's a verb, do what's appropriate to that. Okay, what's the lexical form? This is going to help us to know what to do with voice and translation. Dunamai. So, is that a middle-only form? Yes, it is. What would Mounce call that? Deponent. So for Mounce's key, you probably have a D here for deponent or a DEP. And now, over here, I've put that it's middle or passive because in form, that's what it is. But the meaning of this certainly isn't passive in meaning, is it? To be able, right? So I would say that it's probably just middle and not passive. So I would take deponent and middle as probably the most likely ones you'd put. Although if you put MP for middle passive, I wouldn't scream because in form it could be either. Now, how would you translate dunatai? He, she, or it is able or is powerful, okay? Would you want to say is being able? No. Remember how I screamed up and down about Mounce making every present form an ing form, especially if it's not an actual verb where you can watch somebody doing it? He is jumping. I can see someone jumping, right? But you can't watch somebody being able. So it sounds funny to make that progressive in your tense. So is able is perfectly good there. All right.
I'll embarrass myself here. I'll put empowered.
Ah, wow. Was that one of the meanings that he gave you? Yeah. So now he is powerful. Yeah. All right. Now, let's look at number 1, just to contrast it with what we have here. We have pisteuetai. Here I have that tie ending as well, right? So that's third singular. And we know it's present and indicative, and that tie tells me it's middle or passive, right? Now, what is the lexical form of pisteuetai? Pisteuo. All right, good. And so that does have an active form in its lexical form. And when it's active, is it transitive? It is transitive, right? Okay, so this is a situation where I would be perfectly content if you just put present passive indicative, and then your translation reflected the passive choice, which would be what? He, she, or it It's passive if we're choosing the passive meaning. Yeah, or just simply is believed. Now, if you give me both of these, but you're only going to give me one translation, indicate for me which translation it is. So you could put maybe P here for he is believed. If you want to give sort of the stock middle translation of a verb, like what might its middle meaning be, this isn't always a good way to go, but what many first-year grammars do is they say something like he believes for himself. Okay, so that's a possibility as well if you want to put both there and put M and P for your voice. But if you just put P and give me the passive meaning, he is believed, I would take that too. Okay? No. He believes in some way that he is involved in its results. It's not really a great way to translate middle meaning. So if you want to know what does a verb mean in its middle form, the lexicon will give you ranges of meanings. So it'll lay it out. Active. Here's what it means in the active voice. Middle. Here's what it means in the middle voice. Okay? This will be one helpful use of the lexicon there. Alrighty. Other questions?
Do another deponent for me, please.
Why don't you pick me one to do?
Let's do number 5.
Okay, so number 5. We have Peruamitha. Say that with me. Peruamitha. Great. What is my personal ending here? Metha. That's great. Which person and number is that? First plural. Good. We know this is present. We know it's indicative. What's the lexical form? Peruamai. Great. And that's a middle-only form, isn't it? What would Mounce call that? Deponent. So Mounce would probably have PDI or PDEPI. I forget what he puts in there. Does he put it all the way? He writes it all the way out? So present deponent indicative. All right.
Well, he also says in the lectures
to do whatever your teacher wants. Right. So in this case, yeah, I would just say a present middle indicative. Okay? Because it is in fact middle, isn't it? And I will translate this as we go or are going, right? There's nothing passive about that verb's meaning. We are doing some walking here. We are engaging in a trip. So middle or deponent if you use Mounce's term. All right. Any other ones you want to look at?
Number 8.
Nuxine. Okay. So is that a verb? What verb is that? Not a verb. What's the lexical form? Nukes. Yes. There it is. So nukes. All right. So the gender is what? What article goes with nukes? Hey. So that's feminine, isn't it? So I really encourage you to learn your article with the nouns you learn. Hey nukes. And so if this is a noun, we're not thinking about tense. We got to ask ourselves, what case is this, and what declension pattern does it follow? It's a third declension form, right? So what have I got here? There's an iota. What else is there? Yeah, that's a movable nu, isn't it? Yep. So is this dative singular iota? What is it? It's a dative plural. In other words, dative plural ending is not just iota, but sigma iota. Where's my sigma? Yeah, well, this isn't really called a contraction. That's like vowels, right? But the sigma iota, the sigma's hiding in this xi, isn't it? And then I've got a kappa tau here, right? The tau drop before the sigma, the kappa and the sigma become a xi. All right, so dative, singular, feminine, right? Do I need to put anything else over here? Oh, I'm sorry. What am I doing? Dative, plural, feminine, and that's it. And then the meaning, using our dative semantics. Yeah, to or in nights, right? All right. Anything else you want to look at here? Number 6, we have ercheste. Say that with me, ercheste. What's my lexical form? Erchamai. Great. Erchamai. And Mounce would say this is what? If it's got a my ending in the present. Yeah, he says that's deponent, right? There's no active form. All right, what does it mean? Yeah, to come or go. Very good. So, what's the personal ending here? Yeah, the sthe is the personal ending, right? There's my connecting vowel. So, which personal ending is sthe? Second plural, and which endings? The active or the middle passive? That'd be the middle passive, okay? And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because this is a middle-only verb in the present. So, we call it middle, or Mounce would call it deponent. So present and indicative. How will we translate this? You, y'all, you all are going. Yes. Or coming.
So would you, I don't know, you might have asked this question last semester, I'm sorry, but the present versus the present participle in these person translations, so you all go.
That's also possible.
You all are going.
Yeah.
Do you mind if it's the present or the participle?
I don't mind if it's progressive or not, or simple present. Usually when we use the progressive form, we mean you're in the middle of doing it. And when we use the simple present, it means that you normally do it, right? So what do you do on Saturdays? I go to the store, right? What are you doing now? I am going to the store. All right.
Is there, in Greek, is there like present active? Would that kind of tend to be like is that why you kind of would prefer the you are going?
It really, that's contextual, right? You given the context would know whether the person's saying that I'm doing it right now versus this is something I habitually do or do as a matter of course. Where I get hung up on Mounce always using the ing form, using our present participle for it, is where the verbs are verbs of state. They're what we call stative verbs. They indicate a state and not an actual activity. A mental state, an emotional state, something like that, using the ing forms end up sounding really odd to us, right? To say something like, I'm believing, as opposed to I believe, right? Like, what's your faith? Well, I'm believing in Jesus, right? I mean, that just sounds odd, doesn't it? So that'd be a situation where I would just say, I believe in Jesus, and I'd use the present tense in Greek for that.